Yo, what's up, guys? It's that time of the month, well, time of every bi-monthly whatever. Then we're going to be talking about a balance patch prediction. So first of all, we always predict disappointment, so we got that out of the way already. Plus, we do have SWC going on right now, so we have SWC sitting over here at the 11th. We have another SWC sitting over here at the 18th, and then another SWC sitting over here at the 1st. So I think it's America's Cup, APAC region, and then, the World Finals. We do have the Legend Tournament sitting here at the 27th. So I do expect it, if they want to give enough time for the America's Cup players, that we would have a balance patch notice maybe here or here. And that we have the update either on the Sunday or the Monday. And then we will have that patch running to the Special League, which is the Special League of the SWC pre-ban mode. And please come to us, give us pre-ban before we go into the match rather than in the match. So you don't get those weird-ass snipes using websites or using stream sniping or using whatever. Pre-ban before going into the match. It's really easy. And also, by the way, just do that for all of it. All of RTA. People will actually enjoy that because then they don't have to play it against the thing they find most annoying. Simple as that. But let's just see what I do think for a balance patch right now. Since we are in SWC season, I do expect not too much changes to anything RTA related. But they can always do slight changes, such as they did with the Joken Skill 3, suddenly made it meta. I've seen it before where they removed the Oracle Skill 1, 15% accuracy, or like 50% attack bar gain to a 10% attack bar gain 1 week before prelims. So they did ruin my whole freaking comp with that. So yeah, there's a few options right there. We're going to be talking a little bit of RTA. Or actually a decent bit of RTA, that what are the options, and otherwise just push that towards the next one. Because if they don't change anything right now, there's going to be 2 to 3 or well 2 more months of this kind of same meta. And let me just say most people I've been talking to are not really enjoying this meta at all. And neither am I. Everything is half an activation check. And if I want to have a general sense for RTA, remove all of those half activation check kind of units, because you can already see by the points are definitely a bit lower than last season. And yeah, well, last season also already as well. Last season people also did not enjoy to play a lot because it's just not that much of an enjoyable meta, because everything is half an activation check. Everything becomes super sacky because of that. And we have all of those kind of issues. So first of all, as mentioned, it's going to be talking about RTA, then about Siege, then about some PvE, maybe some Arena as final, and that's how we go. For RTA, easiest thing to look at is, of course, the win rate. Okay, so let's first talk about RTA. Oliver, I would still love him to be a 24 lead. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that one. If Oliver becomes a 24 lead, a lot more things aren't as impactful, crazy, powerful, that kind of stuff. Sure, we still see a lot of Sierra first picks. Maybe you have to address Sierra a little bit as well. But Oliver is just one of those units a lot of people do not like. And just by the simple fact, you can remove that. That would also mean that you have to change all of the leads of all of those, but just make them global leads and then give them whatever leads, because any of the other leads of the others aren't really used as much. It's just about the Oliver lead. Make it global leads and then give them still speed lead and that kind of stuff. Also makes Oliver maybe a little bit more interesting for other things, but yeah, I think Oliver, that lead would definitely do a fair bit. Sierra, Hey Gang, though, I'm not too sure if you really want to change those. I think it's kind of fine on those two. Shio, I'm also kind of on the edge of saying maybe he's kind of fine as is. He's been really bad for a really long time, so I could still see him not getting any change. Jogun, I would say it's just changed in the last meta, so I think they will definitely not touch that one as well, because it's as recent as that. So I don't expect any change on that. Josephine, however, I definitely do want a Josie. I would like to see Josie. Well, there's a few things you could do. Less shield or less damage, or these are or not alls, or you go CD S3 plus 1. But if you go this, you would heavily nerf her. I think that this would probably be better. However, you know the typical nerf that Countess is gonna do is let me look at what is your stun rate. Josephine, stun rate S1. Let's make her even more RNG, that if your enemy is very lucky, it's still gonna land all the time, but your Josephine is not gonna do that. How many chance are we for stunning right now? 70, so we're gonna make the S1 stun 50. This is the Countess. Don't, but they will. They will probably do this shit. But yeah, that's one of those things out there. Megumi is actually sitting at a pretty shit win rate, but everyone and their mom hates this unit. Even your mom's mom hates this unit. Even the dog of your mom's mom hates this unit. So Megumi, I would definitely say no steal. I think if you just already do that, where he still gets the rest of the kit, but he doesn't steal, then it's already fine. And sure, the attack bar gain is still annoying, but just don't make him steal like 3-turn immunity, and then he would already be kind of good. Gianna is definitely also one of those for nerfs. I would say S3, no strip. Wait, no strip is a sleep/silence. So if you strip, you still stun, but if you don't strip, you give either a sleep or a silence. Like you can choose whatever is the weakest out of the two. Probably sleep is the weakest out of the two. So you still have your form of CC. It does actually make sense that an Oracle would sleep or silence, in my opinion. But you don't have the high value of the stun and 85 rate and blah, 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 that kind of nonsense. So I think that would be a fair nerf on Gianna. Yes, I am a Gianna owner. Yes, I don't give a shit if she's nerfed. Like, that's just in all honesty. Then moving on, I definitely do still think that Sonya is one of those, in my opinion, for a nerf. And that's just reduce passive ATB gain. I think that part is just a little bit too much on her. So just slightly tackling that down is already fine. Do we want to nerf on Misty? That's kind of a 50-50-ish for me. I think I'm kind of fine with Misty-ish, but you could still look at maybe nerfing that unit right there. But it's just, I'm not too sure how you would actually nerf that. If we're looking at like the OP units, none of those are actually having like a high pick rate except the Misty itself. So no, I think we would have to do the Misty, and I would say less passive speed gain. I think that is just, I'm not sure what the exact number is right now, but make it less. That's like the typical thing Kanto's does, like when they have no clue. So I just go for exactly that. Where the hell Misty even at? It's in one of the later units. It's one of the semi-later units over here. So we go up to 100, and then by 20, make it like a 100-ish, and then stack it faster. Or like 125 and stack it faster. Something along the lines of that, I don't know. But yeah, less gain in that. Any other units that I would really say is like, yo, these are pretty oppressive. Like, sure, these two are good, but they're 5th picks and they're low pick rate, so it's not as crazy. Tianleng, you could maybe make the argument for nerfing it, but I think Tianleng is that OP because the Megami is that strong, Oliver is that strong. If you nerf those, Tianleng also has slightly less value in the meta, so the indirect nerfs on Tianleng would, or like, the meta slightly shifting makes Tianling a little bit worse in the first place. So I think the unit, also I do have it, and I might be biased because of having it, like nerf whatever unit you don't have, but then again, I also said like nerf Gianna. So fair is fair, I guess. So those are the typical-ish nerfs. Oh, this Laura, man. Yeah, well, that's the thing, like the 3 of them, but that's also... In G3, people have multiple of them, and then if you have the pair of the 3 of them, like you're instantly absolutely goated, and it makes it so much stronger, especially with this one in the pair as well. Do they need an individual nerf on themselves? Maybe so, but I don't really expect it. So that is for RTA nerfs. RTA buffs, they're going to be buffing some kind of random LD5. I think they will definitely do maybe even 2/3. And the reason I think they do 2/3 is because a lot of the high-end players are complaining that all of their LDs are shit, and why are they spending that much money to pull LD5s? So I wouldn't be surprised if some, like 2 or 3, maybe even like 3 or 4 LD5s, not necessarily go on Gurkha level, but go like kind of 0 to hero-ish. I would really not be surprised if they go anything like that, because that's, yeah, that's just one of those things that I would definitely expect to do. If we talk about any buffs outside of like this for like normal elemental units, it's 2 at random. I have no clue. So let's move on to the next topic, Siege. So for Siege, something that they can do that they haven't done for a while is look at awakenings. So make something speed awakening. I definitely don't think they will go right away into the awakening for the new collab units. But we have Pulse sitting... Oh, wait, we already have a Pulse with speed. If they make this thing into a speed arena, this thing is instantly goated, annoying, toxic, and fuck, please don't do it. But they probably will at some point. I would... This is gonna be the new Megumi. They're gonna nerf the Megumi, and they're gonna make Jinkazama the new Megumi. Like, bet my words on that shit. But let's look at some of the 4-stars, because there are a bunch of 4-stars for Siege, and then we're talking Siege buffs. I don't think Siege needs any nerfs. Let's just say, if we just scroll that down a little bit, Nerfs, none. I think there's none, like, none. Because I don't think there's anything too OP on defense. There's nothing too OP on offense. Sure, there's a bunch of good stuff on offense, like Fire Jennifer, whatnot, Terranesis, bunch of LDs, but nothing feels like back in the days, like Björnchill level. Nothing feels like crazy ass level. Sure, Lamilas are good, but nothing is crazy for Siege that I would say neither offense nor defense, where we had like Windies before being too OP. I don't think so. But if we look at the net force, there are a bunch of net force that don't have any leads, such as the T-Bunnies have no leads, so could be one of those becoming a speed lead. We do also have, I wrote down a few, or at least my guild helped me write down a few. None of these have a lead, so they could get a guild lead, which could be an interesting one right there. Actually, the Asuras don't have any leads. Imagine that they make Ursa or Vitra a speed lead. That would definitely be options. So I'm just going to say add leads to 4-star for Siege. Others that don't have any leads might be a little bit too OP if Robos get a lead, but Robos on guild leads, Dark Robo guild leads, yeah, but that could be kind of interesting. Same thing for the Blade Dancers. They also don't have any leads, so if you were to give like a speed lead to a Farisa with a strip potential, then we're kind of talking on a decent unit. Then again, we already have that with a Dark Siri, for people that do have Dark Siri, of course. So it's kind of already in there, but it's kind of slightly different. And then we also don't have any leads for Onimusha. So Onimushas, where do we have it? The good old Fuki looking over there. So none of these have leads neither, but then it would also make Onyoki lead, which already has a lead, so therefore it is Arena lead. So then you would have to give these a lead as well, which is maybe a little bit more awkward, so because this one already has a lead. But those are some of the 4-stars that don't have a lead yet, which I could definitely see one of those 4-stars that I just mentioned will probably get a speed lead, and then they just make it way work for there. Other things for Siege that could really get a buff, I'm not too sure yet, because they always will do something at random. They have done it before where they made Platy a speed lead in guild content and kind of try to make it way work over there. Let's see if they cook something on Siege. To be honest, for me on Siege, I'm just loosening everything, or I'm cleaving everything with just whatever, and I'm not putting that much effort into the Siege itself as well. But mainly for Siege, I could see some more speed leads in Siege being added or anything like that. So maybe to 5 stars as well. So I could see that having some potential. Then, of course, we have PvE, and PvE is remove God forsaken 15% rest check in PvE. Everyone happy, rainbow and sunshines. Yes, sir. Everyone happy. Woohoo! Just remove this shit, man. No one gives a shit if you're dungeon farming and everything is just landing 100% of the time. Let's make it a statement to make it a little bit more difficult. If 100 egg. So you need 100 egg. You put your Prillia on 100 egg, it will never miss. You put your Shine on 100 egg, it will never miss. You put your Sabrina on 100 egg, you will never miss. This is actually harder to do than you think, because most of the time you do want to have those units still do chip damage. But at least then you can make a good SF team, you can make good PC teams, you can make good teams on pretty much everything. Because it's just the rest check that's screwing you over. Is Come to us ever gonna do this? Of course not. They love their RNG. So yeah, because of that, I really doubt that would happen. I would still say for SF, I did find a pretty decent team for SF right now. Is it in my ranking that I have over here on SF? I think it was my highest rank as well. Nope, it was not. So I don't remember exactly what the team was, but I made a team with the Heihachi. It is actually a best in slot team right now, so it's definitely not a bad team. But it would be nice if it's just a little bit more obtainable, a little bit more accessible, a little bit more easy. So those kind of things for PvE. I would also definitely say that the Fire Hwarang for PvE might be an interesting unit to be added into the pile if it gets a little bit better. But that's the issue. We're probably not going to get any of those units buffed just yet. So yeah, this team. This team is pretty decent. But then again, if this one would have a more consistent land on the buff log, would be a lot more chill, because she actually doesn't need to do that chip damage. Plus, if you would land all the time, would be very nice. Don't use the runes as they were, of course. Units that were recently released that definitely can use a buff. I would definitely say, like, outside of that, Family buffs. Inosuke whole family is trashed. This family is so bad. I have no clue, to be honest, what you want to do to these. Because I would say this one has some value because of the speed lead, because of the strip, and then not touching anything, and so therefore kind of countering Heigen, kind of countering Megumi. But all of the other ones are kind of ass. Well, this one is pretty good, but it's just the S3 that's good. S1 and S2 are pretty ass. So I could see them getting like an S1, a multi hits or something like that. Just do a little bit more where skills just do a little bit more in the value, like in the main sense. Moving on next, these, I think that these are all kind of fine-ish. Wouldn't be surprised if this one... Well, the thing is, they already have so many units that kind of like... They have a Bloodja, they have a Nora, they have a Hacker. All of them kind of do like a similar-ish thing. Would they add Oblivion to this? I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they add like an Oblivion randomly to this, or they make this into like a crazy bruiser unit or something along those lines. I think that these kind of units are definitely on the list to get a lot more interesting, but we shall see what they do with those. So I think that's kind of it for balance prediction, what I can do. It's always kind of like nerfs are relatively easier to call out. Buffs are always very hard to do because they're literally still buffing. Maybe you've seen it, South Park, the episode with the chicken and the wheel. They let the chicken run and whatever it ends, it's like, yep, that's what we're gonna buff. So that's why they're randomly, it's like, we should buff the Fire Hacker again. It's like one of the best units in Arena offense. Let's buff it again. But why? It's like, but it's already good. It's like, yeah, that's why we want to buff it. Same as the Feng Yang, one of the best Siege offense, Arena offense units in game. It's like, but we should buff it, so they probably will have one random unit like that. So in the end, TLDR, for me, the main thing that I hope the most is make a meta where everything is not half an activation check. And what do I mean with that? Half an activation check is like, oh, you have 6 hits on this with 25% chance. Let's miss all 6 of those. Yay! Skill 1 over here, 70% check. Yay! Skill 2 over here, oh, that's actually a full check, but... You kind of know what I mean. Same over here. It's like, oh, we have chance to strip to land a 6 debuffs, but we could also land absolutely nothing. Same over here. We have a nice 30% chance to land 5 times. We could land it all the way up front and do like 30k damage. We can all the way not land that and do 10k damage. It's the same skill. It's just RNG. Reduce the RNG factors and all of those BS skills, and people will be a lot happier. People will be playing more RTA. Give us a pre-ban so people can pre-ban if they don't like to play against a Heigang or Megumi or whatever they don't like to play against, just to make things a little bit more chill. So that's my balance patch hopes / predictions, but the hope part is mostly disappointed because in the end we're in SWC season, so I don't really expect to have any much of changes. But then again, they have seen their revenue go a loop, so maybe they are like, we should do a thing or two. And the thing or two they have been doing is like, oh, you cleared the TOA stage, how about you get a pack? Like, the thing is, there was not even a paid actor. I was actually planning to go over here and click over here and get a pack, but they just shove it in your face anyways. Like, guys, buy more packs. Get also a $700 Nova or some shit. Okay, either all, guys. Thanks a lot for watching for this one. And see you as always in the next one. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see for balance patch. And of course, do go for the material of like, nerf all of the LDs I do not have, buff all of the LDs I do have. Because that's how it works. We're some of the smart players in the end, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you later. In the Discord, and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.